Good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Real Deal Fam. I am Andre, and this is the gorgeous wife, Essie.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, she is the boss. Yeah, thank y'all again so much. If you hadn't had the opportunity yet, please hit that subscribe button. We would highly appreciate it, as well as the thumbs up, and also share the video.
Yes, we're on 1,000 subscriber campaign, so if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and the like button, and go ahead and comment at the end of this video.
And we will thank you again. Highly appreciate it. With that being said, let's dive in. We got a topic that's pretty serious to us, and definitely something that it's been in the media for some time now. It had been, I guess, going on for years, but recently, especially
400 years.
But during this particular year, there's a lot been going on in terms of president election, and a lot of people have been pushing for it, and it is reparations to African Americans for slavery.
Descendants of slavery, that's right. So everybody is not a descendant of slavery. However, if you are owed reparations. What is reparations, son?
Reparations is basically something being paid to someone for wrongdoing that they have done unto someone or to a group of people. And basically that's why we said for us, or as African Americans, it was the entire process of being enslaved, taken from the continent of Africa and being brought to the Americas and worked for 400 years under extreme conditions and not compensated whatsoever for that.
Right. And you are basically the builder of nations. So the foundation of this country, amongst other countries, many European countries and South America and Caribbean and all over. But we're speaking specifically about, in America, or the United States of America. Slaves were, or in ours, the descendants of slaves are the foundation for the economy. So, there's been a giant push for reparations. Reparations means paying for
wrongdoings.
Yeah, the wrongdoings. And as you clearly can see, the United States always say, we can't come up with the money, but COVID.
Yes,
come up with the money.
What they call it, the CARE Act that they recently passed, as well as the HEROES Act, for a country that has claimed that it's been in economic hardship for a while, bordering a recession.
Miraculously could come up with all this money.
Came up with $2 trillion to help everybody to get through not working in this pandemic that is taking place currently. And there are a lot of African Americans have been pushing for reparations for things that they feel has been like an ongoing pandemic. I would say in the African American community, not only were we put through slavery, but the whole thing, the Jim Crow, all of these various things economically has impacted us as a whole.
Redlining, if you didn't know redlining, we talked about that in one of our other videos.
Yes.
Redlining is where you specifically draw, government draws a line around districts where Black people are allowed to live and are not allowed to live. It's illegal. Banks are not allowed to give you loans. You're not the homeowners association is not allowed to sell you homes in those areas. So if you didn't know, that's the way that most middle class people are able to build wealth, is by purchasing a home at a low interest rate, paying the loan off, owning the home, having equity in it, and being able to use that to barter for other things and to continue to build wealth. When you die, you leave that, pass that on to your next of kin. They don't have to pay any mortgage, so they're able to constantly keep building wealth, maybe buy a rental property or a warehouse or, so on and so forth, a farmland, so a business. And African Americans have, continuously been denied those privileges amongst being oppressed.
Yes, and if anybody who owns a home or who has been basically inherited a home, they would see the advantages of having that. Most of the time, property values tend to raise. They will go up and down here and there, but over time, they've shown that real estate has continued to grow, and it really gives you a leg up. Now, what African Americans experience, like my wife said, was redlining. When you don't have the opportunity to get the loans, because homes are not a purchase that you just can dig out the wallet
Yeah,
and
you
go
simply
pay
have
for.
to have at least 20% of the purchase price.
Right.
And so they also were given predatory loans. So let's just say you didn't really qualify, and they'd give you maybe a 20-30% interest rate, and you'd have to come up with a large sum of money. You won't be able to pay the loan off, and if you did, it'll take 500 years to do it, and the value you pay 5 times the value of what the house is. So basically, it was a money pit.
Right.
Or if you did pay your house off, they'll go and offer you a predatory loan, which basically does the same thing. Second mortgage on your house.
And everybody knows you win when you purchase at the purchase price, not at the end, but when you purchase the home. So if you're overpaying for the property, it's no good. So if another race of people able to obtain the home at a lot lower interest rate and a lot lower cost, they're going to come out on top in the end. So if you paying considerably more for the property, it does you no good. You never be allowed to pay the home off. And so you can't pass it on from generation to generation.
We've also talked about in our other videos how the Federal Reserve was started basically from the Freedmen's Bank, which was monies that black people had that was saved up after slavery. They went and stole a lot of money and used it for collateral to open up a stable Federal Reserve, that's something that wouldn't collapse. Okay, that's the money that a lot of major banks have still to this day. Stole the money from Black Wall Street, all the different major cities around. So it's been a constant, perpetual steal and jack and oppressing. It's not just like it was just slavery, even though that's humongous in itself.
And there's a lot of people out there pushing it. In particular, there's 2 individuals that I'm familiar with, Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell. They definitely push it with their program, or the ADOS, like my wife said, American Descendants of Slaves. And from what I understand with them, they specifically promote for African Americans, the people who are descendants of slaves.
Yeah, you can't get reparations if your family were not slaves. Come on now. Yeah, you don't have roots from this country where your people were stolen and brought over here. What are you getting? You don't need reparations. I mean, maybe if you was oppressed, but these are specific for descendants of slavery in the United States. If your family was from, some other part, that's a whole nother issue. But we're speaking specifically African Americans who were stolen, brought to this country as a slave, and they worked, and they have family heritage and living descendants that still are here.
Right. And what's strange about it, I actually got into a conversation with the white gentleman before about reparation. And he couldn't, for some reason, it just didn't register to him, but he couldn't figure out why we needed reparation and why we deserved it. And what was even more offensive is that he came up with a figure, I think it was something like maybe $500 per African American. And
for building the greatest country in the world, yes, $500. All the African Americans that were killed, yes, millions and millions,
lynchings, all of these things, all this stuff is out there. Just do your homework, do the history of African Americans in this country.
Should have paid him $500 to get lost.
But I mean, there's no sensitivity to it. Other people, other groups of individuals have received reparations. I think the Jewish community received reparations
from Germany.
I think the Japanese may have received it from America here when they were thrown in little camps and whatnot during World War II. There's a lot of different things.
Yeah, Native Americans, although they were decimated, they still do receive some privileges from the government, which are no taxes. They can go to college for free. African Americans should definitely not have to pay taxes. They should not have to pay for any college They shouldn't have to pay. Yeah, that
Right.
should be included in the reparations.
And like we mentioned before, not only have black people been continuing to fight for things like this, but not only did you experience slavery, but you continue to be oppressed, and it's like moves are constantly being made to keep you in a certain position. It's not like, okay, that happened back then. Now the playing field is even, so we don't really have to give you reparations. But it's not. It's the same thing that's going on. It just changed it, and it continues to morph into a different form of, I guess, oppression. And so that's why we want to talk tonight about reparations. We just think it's something that should be done. The country should. Me personally would like a formal apology as well as reparations, and to get the country moving forward. Otherwise, I just don't see a true healing taking place in this country. I don't see it moving forward in any kind of powerful way at all.
Well, we just have to take it there because black people are religious. I just got to do it. If you didn't know and you haven't been watching our videos, black people are descendants of the Bantu people, or Hebo or Igbo people, which are Hebrews. Yes. From Africa. Descendant, when they left Israel, they came and traveled across Africa and ended up on the west coast, the southern portion, and so a few other specific places. But black people, the Black Hebrews, were specifically sought out for their special skills in blacksmithing, building, masonry, rice.
Check out our video. It's a 2-part series.
Farming.
You'll love it. It's very informative.
All our talents that we had in order to build what was called the New World, which wasn't a new world. It was already discovered. Most black people and Asians and everybody else had discovered the other part of the world except for the barbarians. So, yeah, you have a special history. And why do they always associate 400 years? Because it parallels Egypt in the Bible. And after 400 years of slavery, God freed them. And they were given reparations from the Pharaoh, and basically bankrupt Babylon or Egypt.
Yes.
So it behooves America
yes, to make things right.
Yeah, to make things right. Yeah, that's right.
And African Americans are very loving and very loyal people. For us, we can't understand how a people could take another group of people and subject them to the things that we've been subjected to. But it continues to take place.
I think an argument many people say is, oh, that wasn't me, it was my ancestors.
Well, and the response is always the same. You benefit from those type of systems. The country became enriched. Now you going to great schools. You're getting the bank loans. You're getting the interest rate that African Americans are not getting.
And not only that,
the playing field is not level.
We just talked about Aubrey and
Breonna
Taylor, who, if you are sitting on the sidelines and you're not in defense of making these situations right, justice for victims, human victims, which were African Americans, then some men, right, you're not just a descendant, you're involved.
Right. And this has been ongoing. I'm a young man. My whole entire life, I've seen this take place in different forms. Like I said, just continue to manifest and change faces and the way it comes across. But the results are always the same. Black people are always oppressed and being killed. Now, can the country come out of this? I don't know. Me personally, I don't believe so. I just don't see it. If you've had 400 or 500 years of having the opportunity to change and make things right and do things better, I think that's enough time to do it. Some people may be more optimistic than me, but I just don't see it. The reparations push Maybe they'll come across with that, but I don't believe it. I think that's something should have been handled a long time ago.
Yeah, I tell you, it's biblical. The problem is when you have to give it when you don't want to give it, it bankrupts you.
Right, but so what the Bible says, some people are just stiff necked. So I guess that's how it is here. The country is set in its ways. It's I don't know. I just don't believe for us as African Americans, there comes a point in time where we have to accept the realities of the way things are and move accordingly. That's just me. I don't think it's going to work out the way by continuously asking for it. They ain't going to give it to you. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going based on the Bible, which, most African, 80% are faith-based, I'm just telling you. You got evangelicals, you got a lot of part of the country is based on the Bible. And, you owe reparations. There's no getting out of it.
Yeah, I think to me, it's an open and shut case. You wrong a person, especially in a way like that. You're hanging folks from a tree, you're lynching them, you're taking them from their home and bringing them across the seas somewhere, working them to death.
Yeah, you fed the babies to the alligators.
Yeah, so and then there's a cover up. Most of the time when you wrong a person, you open up and you say, "Man, that was really foul. Let me correct that." But that's our nature. So I can't speak for other folk. But for us, that's the kind of stuff we do. But like I said, I don't believe it's going to happen. I would love for us to get reparations.
Well, it's not about not that they're going to do it willingly, but if you're going based on the Bible,
that's where I roll. I roll with the word right now, so I leave man alone. I leave him to himself. He's been blessed with this beautiful world, and he just done messed it up. So.
Yeah, biblically based, black people are going to get reparations. And, more than likely, we're going to have to raise up.
You got to do what you got to do. But for us, we always maintain respect and dignity and humanity. That's what makes us who we are as a people. Other folks don't respect that the same, but there's somebody to handle that. I don't think we have to worry about that. We'll let that play out how it's gonna play out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, black people have been trying to ask for reparations. They actually tried to. Marcus Garvey tried to. He didn't even want reparations. He just tried to organize some ships to get a lot of black people to get out of here, and they killed him. Well, they threw him in jail and then sent him back to. Jamaican.
And the problem we have, like we always have, is that some of us double back on, like the brother got double backed on by his own people. Yeah. All he was doing was trying to help his own folk, but his own folk, some of us got that Egypt mind, and so you want to stay back there and stay under the gun, and they kind of double crossed the brother.
Yeah, the Boule worked against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all this going to work itself out in due time. We just continue to stay prayed up and do the things we know we're supposed to do. Everything going to work itself out. But like we said in the previous video, just make sure you protect yourself and your family and move accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people probably think you're crazy, but if you look at the times and the things that's going around, look at your political leaders, and you tell me that God ain't working and doing some stuff that you know what I'm saying, it's right before your eyes. Yes. Open them.
Yes, it's just me personally. I just don't see there's no humanity out there. We're going through different things right now where we deserve reparations. There's a virus pandemic situation going on. You got people trying to come up with viruses, have no respect for humanity, got all kind of devious schemes behind that type of thing. And then when somebody come out and speak against it, then they made out to be wrong. It's just, the whole thing is just crazy. It's not who we are. Participating in the system is not what we do.
Yeah.
Just stay prayed up, man. Do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
And with that being said, we thank y'all again so much for tuning in. But again, go back and watch that other video, like my wife say, about the Hebrews. You'll learn a lot. It gives you a little bit of insight on history and why we think we deserve reparations. And we pray that we receive that. But like the Bible say, it's going to happen one way or the other. But thank y'all again so much for tuning in. And also hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Leave comments. We really would love it. It's only for edification. Thank y'all again so
Good night.
much. Good night.